a big night for the Matildas. Australia with a goal on the road to Tokyo 2020.
Well, hello and welcome to Matildas Insider as we preview the Westfield Matildas' upcoming match against Denmark, which kicks off in the early hours of tomorrow morning in Australian time. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of all the lands from which you're joining us from, and we pay our respects to their history, their living culture, and their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'm Stephanie Brantz. I'm delighted to be virtually joined by Westfield Matildas Junior Matildas coach Ray Dower and commentator on Westfield Matildas Cap 158, Grace Gill. A very warm welcome to both of you. Razor, you join us from a cold and wet Sydney. What's happening in your junior Matilda world?
An opportunity to come down to Sydney and watch. There's a bit of a schools tournament on this afternoon, yesterday and today out at VSP. So opportunity to see the next generation kicking each other on the park, which was really great. Some more great exciting kids.
And Grace, you're with us from Canberra, fresh off a cup win with Canberra, Croatia. Congratulations. And I think you're skipping training to join us. Is that right?
Look, thanks, Steph. I appreciate the kind words. It's a pleasure to be here. Look, let's call it managing my load, not skipping training.
We're helping you out. And it's wonderful to have all of you joining us from home from all over the country as we take a look at what lies in store for this friendly clash between Denmark, who sit 16th on the FIFA rankings, and the 9th ranked Westfield Matildas as Australia continue their preparation for the upcoming Tokyo Olympic Games. Now, Ray, the Matildas found it pretty tough going, albeit with a makeshift squad last time they were out on the pitch in a match. What do you think the objective will be for Tony Gustafsson this time around?
Well, look, every opportunity that you get to play an international, be it friendly or not, I'm not sure if we'd all agree that there is ever such a thing as a friendly when you're playing for your country. But every opportunity to play is an opportunity to build cohesion, to put together some of the specific tasks that the players will have, that the team will have in the way that Tony and Mel would like to see us play. So every opportunity to get on the pitch. There's some players that are obviously returning from some injuries, so match minutes are crucial. Just to see where they're at in their recovery is a really important aspect of the planning for this last sort of 45 days or so before we hit Tokyo.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Everyone's watching with interest to see what happens in this one. Grace, tell us, if the Netherlands and Germany matches were a bit of a dose of, I guess, harsh reality of European football, from a playing perspective, do you think the goal will be a win, a tight team performance, or is it just basically a fight for a spot on the Olympic team?
Yeah, look, I think going into any kind of competitive match, the goal is to get a win. The team will be looking for a result, but I think the collective thing going into this game will be about having an improved performance. So looking back on those matches and being able to walk away from this match against Denmark and saying that you can see the trajectory they're on, I think that's going to be really important to this playing group, that they have a better performance than what they did last time. And then to your point of sort of individual players and from that individual perspective, you want that kind of performance and quality that makes it really hard for a coach not to include you in a squad. So I'm sure that will be something in the back of these players' minds as well about how they step up and perform.
For sure. Razor, this Matildas squad, it's a change from the last outing, as you mentioned, and you touched on that. We've got the experience coming back, but still a few uncapped players. As junior Matildas coach, that must really excite you.
Well, I think it's exciting for all football fans, across Australia to see that there's so many great players in and around that have, had a really good season in the Westfield W League. There's some other players uncapped over in overseas as well that are coming back in. So as you said, the players returning from injury. So, to build a really healthy depth of players who are fit and healthy and in form, is a utopian kind of a view. So, the more that these players can get back in and really challenge each other and push each other to be better every single day, is only healthy for Australian football and very healthy for the Matildas moving forward.
And what do you make of this opposition? Obviously, we knew that the Netherlands and Germany were going to be very, very difficult. How do you feel that Denmark will be different?
Well, each time you play a game, even if you're playing the same opponent, you only have to have, one or two, one player different, and it, the entire game can be slightly different. So, there will be opportunities for Tony to, as I said, to embed the playing style that we'd like to see moving forward. There might be a few tweaks there from what some of the players have played in previously. So every single opportunity that you get to play a game representing your country is special. As Grace said, from the outset, you want to win every single game, and the opportunity to be better than we were at our last performance will be certainly paramount in everyone's mind. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how we play against different opposition with a slightly different style of play, and that gives us another opportunity to move forward and to develop our own game.
Grace, you and I had the privilege for the last few months of watching intently from the commentary box all the talent in the Westfield W League, and we watched them really blossom. Some of those players have earned themselves a place here. Who are you looking forward to seeing?
Sure. Am I able to name a few names here? I think the thing about this squad is there are some really familiar faces, some older names, and some experienced heads, which is paramount to a strong, experienced squad going into an international match. The stuff I'm excited about is the younger players that Tony's brought into this playing group, and a couple of names. I think you can't not mention Kyra at the moment. She just had such a fantastic W League, and I'm really interested to see how she's able to step up on an international stage. And you just hope that she's able to, I guess, almost rise above that pressure of expectation. But then you've got players like Coops coming back into the side, who is experienced, and she does bring that sort of defensive aspect into this squad. So I'm really pleased to see her back in the side. And I'm going to keep going here. Alex Chidiac, I think her creativity as a player, I think that's a really important aspect of this Matildas setup going forward. So I'm really excited for her. And I guess on a more a soft note, seeing KK come back from her injury. So there's these different aspects of the experience, the names that we know, the youth coming through. But yeah, I could keep going, but I'll stop it there.
Also very talented. Grace, you of course had a stint playing over in Europe, not in Scandinavia per se, but what did you notice about the different standards and the step up to that European football, where it's not that our players can't play at that standard, it's just the amount of football you suddenly play when you're over there. How different is that?
Yeah, look, it was a number of years ago now that I was over in the Czech Republic, but I think the stark difference is just the number of games, the match minutes that these players are getting, and that it's almost, for the most part, a year-round career for them. So being able to have that continuity, consistency in training, getting a lot of minutes in your legs, that's just something that currently in Australia we know we don't have. So the contrast there is that these women are getting year-round games, and the investment as well in some of those countries has really delivered and showed dividends in some of the results that we're seeing European countries and the Scandinavian countries particularly step up and being able to perform on the world stage, very much so with those sort of top 5, top 10 countries.
Ray, for the Australian fans, that memory of the last two matches against Germany and the Netherlands, they still hold a bit of a sting, and perhaps there were some that were a little bit surprised in spite of the mitigating circumstances. Can you tell us from a coaching perspective, what did the coaches learn from those defeats?
Well, from a holistic perspective, you do kind of learn a little bit more when you don't have a very good performance, or when you do lose. That's where the real learning moments are created. And I think that we would have learned a lot about our shape in terms of how we probably wanted to defend from the front all the way through. We probably learned a lot about our ability to bounce back after maybe things didn't go our way. So I think you take learning lessons out of all those opportunities and all those moments, and as those moments sort of happen throughout the game, that gives the opportunity then to turn that around. And as Grace said, there's a lot of great opportunities here for players to come back in and to perform better than the last game.
Well, I've got to say we're delighted to be joined by a special guest. Now, it's a very warm welcome to Olivia Holdt, who's a member of both the Danish women's football team and Fortuna Hjørring. Olivia, hi, how are things in Denmark?
Hi, things are good in Denmark right now. Apparently, I got COVID, so that's not so good, but other than that, I feel good.
Yeah, that was a shame to hear that. And we're sorry that you won't be playing. Of course, just 19 years old, you debuted for the senior team in April and unfortunately due to COVID can't play against the Australians. But you do play for a club that's seen a lot of Aussies in the lineup. How many of them do you know?
I know, of course, Sam Kerr, because he's a big profile. And then I've heard about some of the other players.
And for Denmark, are they using this match as part of their focus on World Cup qualifiers and also the Women's Euros? Is that correct?
Yes, of course. We use it for some friendly matches so we can know each other more and play better together.
And what do you think Lars will be hoping to learn from this game?
I think it will be a close game, an intense game. Both teams are very good and want to play football.
Could you tell us a little bit about the makeup of the Danish squad? Who should we be looking out for? And has the coach made many changes for this match?
Of course, we have some big profiles like Pernille Harder, Nadia Didim, and Centralsgaard. They're both they play a lot of national games for Denmark, so they're very routine. And then we also have some young players coming in, starting to get more into the team.
Well, Denmark are on a formidable unbeaten run of 9 international matches. How does their recent form look?
As you're saying, we're good and we're in a good shape right now. We haven't lost many games, so we have a lot of confidence.
Well, the Westfield Matildas have not played against Denmark for 15 years. In that period, we've seen a number of Danes in the W League. And of course, we've had a long history of Australians playing in Denmark. But arguably, the most famous Australian in Denmark would have to be Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Mary. And the Matildas wanted to give her a little something from home. Let's take a look. Yes, Australia and Denmark have played each other 3 times. The Danes hold the sway with 2 wins and a draw. And on Friday morning, the Westfield Matildas will be looking to balance the ledger somewhat. Ray, how are you expecting Tony to deploy this team? Is there still room for experimentation, or are we now looking at really needing to make those final decisions?
Well, look, again, as we said earlier, that, every single time you go out, you go out to win, to perform well, and to, there'll be some certain objectives that Tony and Mel will want to achieve with the team. But the team itself, with new players coming in, it means that, you don't have a lot of time to get that chemistry right and to bounce back some of the previous chemistry that the players had earlier. And I think that there'll be a really great positive outlook from the players. I think that they will be, desperate to play well, obviously to put themselves forward for selection, but they really, want to obviously play with some pride and to do that jersey, pride, especially on the back of the 2 more disappointing results from last month.
Razor, we heard Olivia mention Sam Kerr, and we know what a huge profile she has. We're blessed with a plethora of attacking talent. How much responsibility do you think falls on Sam? Because obviously opposition looks to try and nullify the threat.
Yeah, and that's the big question for all the team now, isn't it? As well, as you said, Sam has got a great profile. She's had another really great, outstanding season with Chelsea. Won some silverware, so she's very much, at the front of a lot of those headlines. And so that's really the challenge for the rest of the team now, is how do they learn to, to maybe take a little bit of extra pressure off her? How can Sam maybe attract defenders away to open up spaces for, as you say, some of the other hugely attacking threats that we have? So there's lots of opportunity, I think, there for Sam to get on the ball, for other players to get on the ball, and to get those combinations right, especially in that front third.
And would it concern you as a coach about the lack of opportunity to get the team together? We know what the Matildas can do, and we've seen them excel at their clubs over the last, 12 months or so, but they haven't been able to play together. When you've got talent like we've seen up front with a Sam and Caitlin, who's had an exceptional season at Arsenal, you bring in a youngster like Kyra Cooney-Cross, and she's so talented, but they don't play together very often. How hard is that to get them to gel?
Well, every challenge is an opportunity, Steph. I think that's the first thing, to think of, there. And there'll be no excuses again. I don't think that, that there's any excuses in the minds of anyone around about, not having played together. They're footballers. They're footballers, at the highest level. Some are aspiring to be at the highest level. And this is a great opportunity. And, balancing out the nerves, balancing out the expectation, as Grilly mentioned before, I think will be, part of the aspect for the younger players if they get that opportunity to step on the park. But, again, everyone has to do their own job and do their, their own role to the best of their ability. And if you can do that across the park for the 90 plus minutes, then you generally can get a fairly decent result.
Grace, there was a fairly robust conversation about maybe defensive frailties in the last outings. And I'm guessing when you ship 10 goals, that's got to be part of the conversation. Should plugging the holes at the back be key right now, finding a solid back four?
Yeah, look, I think that's probably a really important part of this squad's conversation, not only for these games for the upcoming campaign, but also just for the Matildas into the future. I think when a team concedes 10 goals, it always has to be part of the discussion. And I think if you look at the squad that Tony Gustaven's brought into this, we're seeing some of those young defenders come into the fray. So the likes of Beattie Goad, Courtney Nevin, even Charlotte Grant, like they're young girls, some of them uncapped, some of them with great potential, but they're potentially the future of the Matildas defensive line. So I think it's really important, not just for this campaign, but looking ahead for the Matildas and that defensive line of who's actually going to fill those roles when the likes of your Polks and Steph's look to retirement and look to that next stage of their career. Who are the next girls coming in? And I think that's probably some of the shape that this squad has taken.
And can I imagine that you're expecting to see probably a more robust performance perhaps in the back line this time? As you mentioned, Steph Catley's back. Ellie Carpenter wasn't able to travel due to COVID in Olympic Lyonnais last time. And having those players that sort of pin the left and right back positions, do you think that's going to make a huge difference?
Yeah, look, I think it will. I think the moment you bring Ellie Carpenter, Steph Catley back into any squad, there's a strength there. When the girls weren't available for the last games, of course, it begs the question of who's going to step into those roles and step up and try and fill those shoes. I think if not only their sort of capability as players, I think it's the confidence that having those girls on the park brings to a side. So knowing you've got them there behind you, knowing the sort of attacking outlets that both of those players provide, there's such sort of that traditional wing-back love getting forward and just weapons on their respective sides, both their right and their left. So I think it will make a difference to the setup, if not for their capability, just for the confidence that will bring to the team.
Olivia, what are you expecting from this match? Can you give us an idea of how Lars will be wanting to play this side? Do they tend to start in quite an attacking fashion?
I think Lars always wants to play football. So I think it'll be an exciting game where hopefully Denmark is going to have the ball a lot because we're much better with the ball than off the ball. So I think we'll have a game with a lot of chances for both teams.
You mentioned Pernille Harder as one of the stars, and she and Sam Kerr obviously know each other very well, as do Hayley Razzo and Nicolina Sorensen from Everton. Do you think that the players have given up all the information they can to try and take away the threat? No, I don't think so. I think they'll keep it to themselves. Do you think it helps them know, particularly with Pernille and Sam, because they have had such a spectacular season? Do you think it helps when you're playing against someone like that? Yeah, I think it will help, of course. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure how much they've marked each other in the training environment, Steph, so that might be the other factor there.
But Ray, in your experience, how much do you look for as a coach? Would you ask the players for a bit of inside info?
Oh, look, absolutely. The players will give over, what they feel comfortable, obviously, with to do. And as I said, when you pull on the crest of, of your national team jersey, I'm sure both Pernille and Sam will be doing their best. They'll be down the other opposite ends of the field, so they're not together. So, keeping them apart and doing each other's role down the other end of the field. who can do it more effective on the day.
Fair enough. Grace, what are your expectations here? While the Danes are fine-tuning for tournaments a little bit further away, for the Matildas, 25 doesn't go into 18 that easily, and only 18 can go to Tokyo. How much does that weigh on the mind of the players in this particular scenario?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think as athletes and competitors, you're there because you want to be on that flight and you want to be one of those 18 that gets to go to Tokyo. And I think like any squad, there's probably some known entities, some sort of more guaranteed spots. And then there's those, those marginal seats. And I think of those girls who are a bit uncertain around their place in the squad, that's where the anxiety comes in and the nervousness and then just the ability to be able to step up in these camps and in these games and prove to the coaching staff that they're deserving of one of those 18 shirts. And so I think, yes, in terms of expectations and how much that weighs on the player's mind, I think it depends who you are in the squad, but certainly everyone is going to be working hard to be there and to get themselves a spot on that 18 playing roster.
I love the way you say marginal seats. You can tell you live in Kent.
I was about to say the same thing. It sounds like she's auditioning for Anthony Green's spot at the ABC at the next election.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Grace, let's get you off the political fence. Give me a prediction for this one. Grace?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's thought. You know what? I'm going to say there's going to be goals. I'm going to say 2-1 to Denmark.
Oh, controversial. Ray, tell us, please.
No. Matildas will win this game, and I think we'll keep a clean sheet this game.
Oh, interesting. Two contrasting views. Olivia, what do you think the score will be?
2-0 Denmark.
Deciding vote, Steph Brantz.
Yeah, well, I'm going for a 3-0 win to the Aussies, so you got to keep the faith. Come on. Yeah. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us for this preview. Thank you, Grace. Thanks, Ray. And Olivia, thank you so much for stopping in from Denmark, and we hope you're better soon and back on the park very, very quickly.
Thank you.
Thanks,
well, folks, the clock is ticking on the Westfield Matildas Olympic preparation. How much will we learn from this outing? All will be revealed tomorrow morning. So stay tuned to the Westfield Matildas social media on Twitter, Facebook and on Instagram, and you can catch all the reaction, of course, on matildas.com.au. Make sure you're up bright and early. Denmark hosting the Westfield Matildas tomorrow, 2 a.m. Eastern, live on Fox Sports, KO, ABC and MyFootball Live app. The road to Tokyo continues. Bring it on.
It's a big night for the Matildas. Australia with a goal on the road to Tokyo 2020.